All right, Mamelodi Sundowns debut. Congratulations to them. And now we've got a multi-award-winning journalist from African football, of course, in South Africa there in Gauteng. We've got Lorenz Kohler joining us on the show today. Thank you so much, Lorenz, for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to speak to you guys.
It's a pleasure to have you two on the show, of course, especially when Mamelodi Sundowns are putting smiles on the faces of every South African out there. At this time, we know they were coming up from the first leg against Wydad, which trailed 2-1 with Wydad having the advantage at home. But they had to turn that advantage and making them the inaugural champions of the African Football League. How would you rate the game between Wydad and Mamelodi Sundowns being the finals of this inaugural competition?
Yeah, I think over the two legs, and obviously especially the second leg in Pretoria where I was yesterday, it was a very good spectacle for African football. It was blazing hot, but it was a capacity crowd, a sea of yellow, as the Yellow Nation as they call them. It was really good football from Mamelodi Sundowns, something that they've been producing for a couple of years now, a very high level. And people are starting to recognize them as possibly the best team in Africa at the moment and the best technical team in Africa at the moment. So yeah, it was a very good game. Obviously, you could see the magnitude of the fixture, even though it was an inaugural tournament. There were so many dignitaries there, from the FIFA president, the CAF president, um, and federation presidents from all over Africa. I think Moise Katumbi of TP Mazembe was also there. And yeah, it was how can I say, a high level event. And long may it continue. Obviously, next season there will be an expanded tournament from 8 to 24 teams. So it will obviously get bigger and better and more lucrative in years to come. And that is exactly what we need in African football: new investment, new ideas, new excitement, and new competitions.
All right, new competitions, of course, and this was masterminded by CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe. I would say once again, congratulations to the Brazilians. The best tournament, I would say, from the Confederation of African Football. But this league, this competition was a league created by CAF President with 8 hand-picked teams. So the question still lingers, if the competition was more about money than football. Lorenz, how will you rate the organization in entirety, talking from logistics to social media presence of this tournament?
I wouldn't exactly say they were handpicked. They were, separated by regions, and then the highest, the highest ranked team over a 5-year coefficient period in each region was then selected. So it wasn't like, oh, I want this team because I like them, or they're popular. If it was a popularity contest, you would probably see a lot more other teams, especially from a South African's perspective, in the tournament. From a logistical and a social media perspective, everything was world class. There weren't any issues. Okay, maybe there was one or two in Morocco, but it was minor things that we haven't seen in. I mean, it's things that we've seen in African football and worse things before. But from social media, from a broadcast perspective, there was more access and more reach than the Champions League, which is something that was notable. So obviously means more revenue. Continue doing the same things and expecting different results, because, as the old adage says, it's the definition of insanity.
Now, with this competition taking center stage, I would like to know what will happen to the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederation Cup. Will they die a natural death, or will CAF look for resources to strengthen them, maybe financially, and what we see, as you did say, coaching programs for better coaching on the field of play? From the look of things, the African Football League has more backing and goodwill than the CAF Champions League and the Confederation Cup. So how will CAF navigate between the Champions League, the Confederation Cup, and the African Football League?
I don't think it will die.
Okay.
The Champions League and the CAF and the Confederations Cup will still be there. Maybe just it will be tweaked. Like, for example, there was no, I think, the final qualification round of the tournament this year. So usually when you got knocked out of the Champions League, you dropped down to the Confederations Cup. There wasn't anything of that, which was less games. Um, and obviously the CAF Champions League and Confederations Cup has been struggling to secure major sponsorship. So that is why something new was born in order to, raise the coffers in CAF, raise the coffers in these clubs. I mean, for example, in Yimba in Nigeria, they got more money from just participating in this
Participating.
tournament there. Then they would have won, winning the league title and winning a domestic treble probably in Nigerian football. So this is the type of money that, if used effectively, is going to improve in Yimba and ideally domestic football in Nigeria, and give incentives for other clubs in Nigeria to also want to be part of it, if you know what I'm saying. Yes, there are question marks around who's going to be in the 24 process, but if clubs show potential, they can go into this tournament. There's possibly like wild card options, teams that's showing potential to become a super club. And that's what it's all about. And if in Yimba, for example, benefits from these financial windfalls and incentives of being in this competition, it should be improving their academy, their women's football team if they have one, their coaching, signing better players, retaining better players. And if you're signing players within the NPFL, those type of money should ideally be trickling down and improving other clubs. And that's the goal of it, not just in Nigeria, but in Angola, in DR Congo, in all parts of Africa. And obviously, when the 24 team tournament comes out, the reach will be higher and the impact will be felt more in years to come.
Okay, we did see great performances from Mamelodi Sundowns players in this final game. I remember Peter Shalulile was injured before, going into the finals, but his return, we did see a spark for the Brazilians. And Ron Williams was so great between the sticks. He made some crucial saves in this competition. But let's talk about the best player of the tournament. That's Tupelo Maseko. Before now, a lot criticizing that he was just not a good signing for the Brazilians. But look at him. Look at how he came through for the Brazilians in this final. Would you say it's a well-deserved award for Maseko?
I think it's debatable. I think there were better players, but he was a standout player because he was so explosive, a young player scoring 2 goals for them. And he's a new player. So when there's a new player, there's always standout because people are like thinking, who is this guy? He's got pace, he's got power, he's got a good shot. And it's something that South Africans would know more about because we've seen him in the domestic league. And a lot of people were upset that he actually signed for Sundowns because he was linked with moves to Europe. So obviously Sundowns signing him for probably a record transfer fee for a player of his age in the country just showed that they were serious about, winning the Champions League, winning the African Football League, winning every trophy that was possible. But yeah, it was a good performance from him, but I think there were a couple of other Sundowns players who maybe could have deserved it, but it's not to say that he didn't deserve it. And I think he's got a huge future in the game. He's in and around the national team already, senior national team. Yeah, so long may it continue.
Okay. I would say that the god of football loves African football. Congratulations to Mamelodi Sundowns on the win, inaugural champions of the African Football League. Thank you so much, Lorenz, Kohler, for joining us today on In the Game.
Thank you for inviting me, guys.
Great to have you on the show.